This young woman was driving peacefully when, for a brief moment of distraction, she glanced at her phone. That single second was enough for her to miss the right turn and end up on a narrow, unfamiliar road. Realizing it, she pulled over to check the map, but soon, an old noisy pickup truck stopped beside her. Two men stepped out, and one of them smiled oddly, saying this was the border between two towns, a maze that was hard to cross. He then offered her shelter at his house. Suspicious? She smiled politely and declined, but the man didn't take no for an answer. He snatched the map from her hands and blocked her path. She tried to run back to her car, but was intercepted. When he grabbed her, the young woman fought back with all her strength, striking the attacker. In the scramble to escape, his partner pulled a knife and stabbed her in the leg. Even so, she resisted, kicking the weapon away and limping into the woods. Hidden behind a rock, she tore her clothes to cover the wound. Soon, she heard footsteps approaching, so she threw a stone in the opposite direction. The men fell for the trick, giving her a chance to flee. Moments later, a plane flew overhead, and she waved desperately, but it was useless. She then went to a stream to clean her wound and improvise a tourniquet. At that moment, she saw her car being pushed off a cliff. The message was clear. They weren't planning on letting her live. Suddenly, she found her phone, but there was no signal. All she could do was record a farewell message before the battery died. Exhausted, she broke down in tears and fainted. When she opened her eyes, she was in an unfamiliar room, her wound already treated. Soon, a blond man walked in, armed. Terrified, she reacted instinctively, hurling objects at him before collapsing once again. When she woke up, she was tied up. Suddenly, she heard engines outside and screamed for help, but the blond man covered her mouth and begged for silence. It was the same men who had been chasing her. Pretending nothing was wrong, he told them he didn't know anything. Only later did he reveal to her that he manufactured drugs for those criminals, but he couldn't stand that life anymore and had decided to help her. The following days became a battle for survival. The blond man planned an escape, but the gang's leader and, even the sheriff, who was in league with them, showed up. Tension erupted into violence. The blonde was shot, and before dying, he bought her enough time to escape. Limping through the forest, she finally reached the road and climbed into a police car. Only then did she realize too late. The driver was the sheriff himself, the mastermind. He took her to a river, intent on finishing her off with his own hands. The difference in strength was overwhelming. She nearly lost consciousness until her hand found the gun she had hidden. With one final effort, she struck back, and the sheriff's body was carried away by the current. On her knees, exhausted, she forced herself to rise once more. But this was only the beginning.